One, two, three, testing. One, two, three. Thank you, Casey.
and call to order the August 1st meeting of the Monroe County Election Board. Um, we've got quite the agenda today since we did not have a meeting in July. So we're going to dive right in. So the first item on the agenda are approval of minutes from the May 2nd monthly meeting of this board. Do we have any corrections, additions for the minutes?
I do not.
I do not.
Well, then I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I will make a motion to approve the May 2nd monthly meeting minutes as well as the May 17th provisional ballot hearing minutes.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor? There we go.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the minutes are approved. The next item on the agenda is our clerk's update. I'll turn it over to. You just did that vote. Motion was to approve both.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. No, that's right.
I apologize.
No problem. Okay, so we'll hand the mic over to our clerk.
Thank you and good afternoon. First, I want to acknowledge that today, August 1st, is National Poll Worker Recruiting Day. And just before coming over here, we had a wonderful cookie and punch reception where we invited our early and absentee workers. We invited our election day poll workers, and it was more than 50 strong. We just had a little cookie and punch reception, and more people showed up than I could ever have anticipated, and it was absolutely wonderful. I want to take a moment and thank the volunteers because it was all volunteers as far as who made the cookies, although we got a very nice contribution from the Crumble Bakery. Very nice when you see crumble in the place. And those who provided the ingredients for the punch. We just thank you. That helped to make it a success. We had a little bit of question and answer from our friends that we have not seen since the primary, and we were happy to answer their questions and everything. Moving on to just a post-election recap, because if you'll recall, I was not here in June. I might have been on a cruise ship.
Allegedly.
I was, yes. And so I was not here in June. And then, as you noted, we did not have a meeting in July. So I just want to recap from the primary. If you're into numbers, we had 4,713 people to walk in during the absentee and early voting at the election operations. 55 people voted by travel board. The mail that was sent, ballots that were sent by mail was 1,384. And of those that were returned, 1,216, which means that there were 168 ballots that were not returned by mail. For the emails that were sent out, 65, 31 were returned, and 34 were not returned. Moving on to Election Day, the number of people who checked in to vote on Election Day was 9,719. Those issued provisional ballots, 42. The election board moved to reject 27, and we accepted 15. So your total Election Day turnout was 14,432 of, at the time, 9,357 registered voters. This represents a percentage of 15.8% of voters voted in our Monroe County primary. I want to thank everybody who turned out. I thought we had a great day. Obviously, we wish that there had been a higher turnout, but we look forward to seeing you in November. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let's see. Next is on the agenda is the Vote Center Study Committee update. Hey, thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. It's nice to see you all. I know we had a few times off of the update, so happy to answer any questions you all might have. Our study committee has been hard at work and has had multiple sessions hearing from different communities, including a town hall session in Ellettsville recently, last week, I believe. And that was a good opportunity to hear some questions from community members about how would vote centers work. There are minutes, draft minutes from that meeting as well. I know that a couple of you are familiar with that meeting and may like to share more insights or observations from that as well. We also saw on your agenda for this meeting that you wanted to hear about our next meeting date. It's August 14th. And we're happy to hear your thoughts about the one vacancy that we're aware of that we have that needs to be filled. And if you have any updates on that, or if you're seeking updates from us. And then last but not least, I wanted to mention that we have an outline together, thanks to the hard work of some of our committee members, of what the report and analysis would look like. And if you haven't seen that yet, and if anyone is interested in seeing that, let us know. We have a really modest period of time for the committee members to weigh in if they want to see anything more explored in that report that we're putting together. And that time period is about a week longer, a little over a week longer, that people can continue to fine tune what the outline should look like so that we have all the information in there that we need to. How can I be helpful with any other information?
Do any of my colleagues have any questions for me? Or comments about the Ellettsville meeting?
I do not have any questions, but I did attend the Ellettsville meeting. There were not as many people as, of course, you would hope when you advertise a meeting like that, but a number of them, including a former neighbor of mine, showed up at the meeting, and there was some very good discussion. We appreciate everybody who came out, and I thought it was a good beginning for the kickoff of discussion around the community regarding vote centers. Thank you.
I was there as well and appreciated the comments that the public did provide. I think they did also get an understanding of what a vote center is, which was very important. I'd like to see more coverage of this as much as possible to get the word out so that people can get back with us and decide whether this is something they really want for Monroe County.
And on my end, I know for sure that we are planning to have a meeting in not Ellettsville, Unionville. And then also we're looking at having one at Highland Park Elementary for the west side of town. And then we plan to go to IU's campus once the students are back. And then we had discussed possibly having one here at Nat U Hill for the inner city people as well.
Good. Yeah, it seems like there's, yeah, we can talk after the meeting about this, but there may be some, once things get further along, you know, even presenting at, you know, the city councils, the county councils, and all those during their, you know, public sessions, just to raise awareness. And because I agree that, you know, this could be a really important innovation for our community in terms of providing better access to democracy, but making sure people are aware of it and hopefully build enthusiasm around it, because it could, you know, in my view, it could be a real positive step forward. So I continue to appreciate the work of the committee and your leadership driving the committee. I believe do we have 2 openings though on the committee, or just one?
Hal Turner has dropped out due to health issues, and then Taylor Bryant has dropped from Republican Party chair, but has not said yet if she is dropping from the committee yet.
I had an opportunity to talk with Taylor, and she's indicated she has requested of William Ellis to replace her.
Okay.
Mr. Ellis told me that he would be working on that as quickly as possible.
Thank you.
So would that be, oh, okay, for him to replace her with someone else, given that
Correct.
he's already on the committee?
Correct. Yes.
Understood.
Yes.
And then does that mean that our study committee, and you're too kind, I don't actually lead it, but I'm glad to provide these updates. Are we waiting from you all as the election board for the other appointment relating to someone with insight on voters with disabilities so that we can continue to have that perspective?
So when Mr. Turner submitted his letter of resignation, he indicated in that letter that he was letting Stone Belt know of his decision, and I had anticipated receiving feedback from Stone Belt about someone in his place. But this would be a wonderful public opportunity to request that anyone interested in representing that segment on the Vote Center Committee, I would be happy, because that was my appointment to make. I would be happy to meet with them and look at replacing them. And my only concern, I have no problem with this, but my only concern in case there are future dropouts is that it would almost be unfair. At some point, I think we need to look at whether it would be fair to bring somebody in after all of the discussion that we've had and ask them to weigh in. And I don't know what that looks like. But right now, I'm very happy and open to a replacement, to appointing a replacement for Mr. Turner's role on the Vote Center Committee. And if he is watching, I want to thank you, Mr. Howell. You made so many wonderful contributions to this and to other things in the community, and we're very grateful.
Very true, and I thank him as well. Can I ask you one more question?
Sure.
You raised the idea about more presentations or engagement, especially if it's places where people already are in tune to coming there to give input and participate. I think that would be ideal. That's where we've been kind of slow going in terms of we don't usually get much public community member attendance at our meetings. So any way we can improve that would be good. We have some ready to go presentations that I've been a part of creating, and you saw how the town hall was with some initial questions to kick off the discussion too. So I think we would be fairly ready. What timing do you think would make sense for those kind of opportunities so that we can do some good, we can get some input, but not confuse anyone about what's happening for November?
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, if the intent is to, there's not any intent to implement this work for this cycle, I want to give it a little thought, but my sense is you probably want to wait until after the election, otherwise it will create confusion. Another group I was thinking of, by the way, is I use student government. I forget what they call themselves now. They changed the name, but you know, I think it'd be an opportunity to present when they're in session too, because that's a broad group of campus representatives. That might be a population that's otherwise difficult to get to, but that group's very engaged.
Great.
But I don't know, what, Nicole, Judith, what do you think?
I know me personally, for the voter registration office, I plan to meet with PACE to go to one of their events on campus. And I think including the Vote Center Committee to that would be absolutely fantastic, because it's also them that would be affected by this, and it would affect them in a good way, because we have so many students that are going to IMU to vote on election day and then being told that that's not their location. Yeah. So they either need to vote provisional, but it's not going to count, or otherwise they need to go to their polling site. And we had a student come in that told us their concerns about not being a vote center. They spent over an hour trying to commute from their dorm to Bloomington North to vote, to then get back on a bus to come back to their dorm. So for them, it would help in the long run, but it's also having the input from our community itself.
Yeah. Is there any public comment on this agenda item, the Vote Center report?
I have one thing to add.
Sure.
In your guys' packets, I have included a report from when I went to Kentucky to view a Vote Center county there, and I just gave that to you guys so that you can review it. If there's anything that you guys see that you would prefer I change or anything, then I can go back, but then we will be adding that to the minutes for this meeting.
Okay, great, thank you. So is there any public comment? Okay, seeing none, then we will move on to new business.
I believe that Kylie had an election central.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped the election central.
You're fine. So for the election central update, first I have the post-election poll worker survey update. We sent 319 surveys to all poll workers on May 16th and have received back 156 of those as of today. For most of it, they came back very, very well. We're excited to bring back multiple of our workers again in November. Some of the requests for poll sites on election day were more arrow signs and for the hallways at Summit, and then also for Unionville, Souls Harbor, ECC, which is Ellettsville Christian Church, and South. We made a couple of changes in location at some of these buildings. So we have ordered more signs as of the primary election, and we'll plan to send out more to each of these locations, as well as more to every location in general. We have more signage for Tri-North and Family Worship Center. Family Worship Center needs more of a sit-down voting area, so we're going to accommodate that as well with our IT department that sets those up the day before Election Day. Some concerns was more than half are requesting half days. We have had half days for a while, but we have also noticed with half days that we're having issues with either somebody says that they're going to show up in the afternoon, but they show up in the morning, or they show up at night, and then we don't have the coverage. So that's something that I would like to eventually talk with you guys, the election board, to decide on what your standings are with half day. I know I have brought up kind of the doing half days for just our early voting workers who are already accustomed to working a half day. That way we know that they would just transfer over from their schedule of early voting over to election day. And then we've had some complaints about not being vote centers, which was interesting. We think starting the vote center committee has really shown the poll workers that this is a great opportunity for Monroe County, and now they're starting to see where there are flaws in the system that we have currently and are giving us ideas of how to make it better, and most are recommending vote centers. And then we got some compliments, and those were the tech team was professional and prompt, voter registration was knowledgeable and friendly, recruiters were professional and quick with responses, and student poll workers were polite, professional, and caught on quickly. There have been a few that have requested that their student poll workers are back this November because most of our poll workers are of the older generation and they're starting to have less physical abilities. And they said that having these student poll workers have helped out so much with getting tables moved or getting chairs moved and just helping out in general.
Great.
And then my last part for mine is just thank yous. I want to say thank you to all of our poll workers that are constantly coming back out each year and helping us out as much as possible, but also bringing their friends to come and work for us as well. And then also the staff that's in my office, as well as Nicole and Laura, they've helped me so many different ways, and I couldn't be more thankful for the opportunity that I've been given to be the election supervisor, and I hope to be here for many, many years because I absolutely love what I do and just love being part of this and part of the change.
If I may first thank Kylie, because Kylie has been a phenomenal addition to my team, but also to dovetail with your thank yous. Our recruiters, Orion Saft and Kurt Durnall, absolutely came through for us, for which I am incredibly, incredibly grateful. Our leads, early voting, I just very few hiccups. Would you agree with that? Very few hiccups.
Yeah, I would agree. Early voting went very smooth this year, and we've had multiple compliments on the hard work that they're doing down there and giving voters more opportunity and more accessibility to voting in Monroe County.
Did you want to add something?
Well, I'd like to go back to the your recap on the surveys, and I do appreciate that recap, but I would like the opportunity to review the surveys myself.
We have all the surveys in our office and are in the process of getting them created into a binder, and then we'll get those over to you guys.
Okay. Would it be better if I just came to Election Central and reviewed it? Or
we have them currently at the clerk's office because Ashley's the one that takes care of those since she's the trainer, so that she can get back feedback for what we can make better or take away for in training.
Whatever's easiest. I don't necessarily need a copy. I'd be happy to come in and review it somewhere else. I don't know about.
That works as well.
Okay.
We could bring them down to Election Central, and you could come down at any time. Just let us know.
Okay, great, thank you.
That was going to be my question. Thank you, Judith. Is there any public comment as it relates to the election poll workers survey update?
There was one more thing that I forgot to mention. I am currently working with Nicole and a couple others from other counties of creating social media for the elections office for strictly just information, sending out information. We'll have like comments turned off and stuff so that it's just for information to go out. But right now I'm looking at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for our first three, well, X now, for our first three to start getting information out to voters of like when is the deadline to register to vote and how to find out where your polling location is and any information that we have for upcoming anything, honestly.
Cool. I think someone has their hand raised online.
Hi, John. It's Molly, the county attorney, and I was just going to add that, Kylie, we will need to work with TSD because there's some open door law considerations that have to go into effect with those social media accounts. So I'll be happy if you'd like to sit down and talk about that because we need to develop really a policy before we activate those accounts.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, Molly. Okay, I didn't see any public comments, so we will move on to new business. The first item on the agenda was the letter we received from the Democratic County Chairman regarding a candidacy challenge. I think everybody on the board has received that letter and the completed form. I mean, our plan would need to be to actually not take formal action today as a board, but to talk about how we would move forward in terms of setting up a process for doing a hearing and investigating before we would make a judgment. Are folks, the other board members, comfortable with that?
I am comfortable with what you're saying. I want to be very clear. I'm having nightmares from the last time this happened. We are in an incredible time crunch at this time, and it just felt, I only have one reference to this. We've only had one other incident of which I am aware where we had to take a look at this. We are in a time crunch. We have got ballots to be ready to go. Like the nation, we are waiting on the announcement of someone at the top of the ticket. And so I would just respectfully ask that the board, that this not be something that we drag out. Sure. It not be we've got a time crunch, and I think the decisions need to be made very quickly. Thank you.
I agree. I mean, my sense is we would want to set a date to have a specific hearing, collect evidence, and make a decision. So.
Board, I also provided you guys an entire packet of the information for this, including the CAN 1 that was filed and any information that was requested before the CAN 1 was filed.
Well, before we go further, maybe I see that Mr. Cassidy's here. Is there any comments that you want to make before we move forward?
Good afternoon. I'd like to.
And make sure you state your name and to thank you so much and sign in. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Randy Cassidy. I'm the candidate for District 2 County Commissioner at this time. I'd like you to, if you could, refer to the packet I just gave you. I want everybody to be aware as they read through that as I filed my candidacy, I relied on some information from the Indiana Election Commission. At this point, I've also brought my attorney, Allison Weber, to verify everything that's been done. I just want to read something accordingly of where things are after the review, after the discussion with the Indiana Election Commission, and with outside counsel. So I was recently advised that my candidate filing for District 2 Monroe County Commissioner narrowly missed the 6-month residency requirement. and it's resulting in my inability to run. I accept the determination and am therefore suspending my campaign effective immediately. It's unfortunate the voters of Monroe County won't have an opportunity to decide on their representation in District 2, but I believe that everyone in the election process must abide by the rules as specified. While my campaign was brief, my wife, Tamby, and I were overwhelmed with the encouragement and offers of support, and I want to thank everybody who offered to contribute to the success of my candidacy. I love this community, and I'll continue to be an active resident to help chart a path forward for our county that puts common sense in the best interests of residents first. It's unfortunate. I look forward to trying to resolve things so there's never any other potential possibilities of inconsistencies that are discussed at the highest level of the commission. But I appreciate your time, everyone's heartfelt concern, and the fact that Monroe County deserves the best. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
So I suspect that while you're suspending, the board will still need to make a formal decision regarding placement on a ballot. I don't know, Molly, if you're still on, what is your recommendation in that regard? Well,
I do think the board should resolve the candidacy challenge, which would require, I guess, a decision on regarding the ballot. But it sounds like Mr. Cassidy is withdrawing or expressing intent to withdraw from the ballot. So I think that changes the landscape of the hearing.
because I just don't know off the top of my head what the deadlines are in terms of removing people from ballots when they suspend. Is it their decision and then we just operationalize it, or do we have to actually take formal action? I think, Kyla, you were gonna.
I know for me to have the ballots completed and then back in time for me to have a public view of the ballots, I will have to have it sent out by August 15th.
Okay.
And I can look up the statutes. I started to do it real quick regarding withdrawal, but I don't know that off the top of my head.
Okay. Well, let's say we need to get an answer to that fairly quickly so that the board could take action if we need to, but if we don't need to take action, that's even better.
Should we set a date to take action, and then we can always cancel?
Yep.
I'm available next Thursday.
I'm available next Thursday. Are we talking next Thursday at 1 o'clock?
Anytime on Thursday for me. I don't know about you, John.
I'm going to be out of state. But if I need to, I can join in virtually.
Is it that if you're joining, if you're joining virtually, can we vote, or do you have to have a proxy here so that we can take a vote?
Well, I think as long as you have a majority present, we can vote one person virtually, right?
Molly?
Yes, as long as there's a quorum present, Mr. Fernandez could vote virtually.
Yeah. And it sounds like it's going to be a pretty fast meeting too, so.
And I just found Indiana Code 3887, and it says all of the following apply if a candidate attempts to withdraw as a candidate after noon 60 days before the general election.
So the deadline would have been July 17th at noon.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, great. Well, then let's make sure that we properly notice a meeting for, I guess that would be August 8th at 1 p.m. I think it has to be a notice of a hearing as well. And we'll get that to Mr. Cassidy.
We have it here. All
Oh,
we
we
have
have
to
it here.
do
We'll
is
fill
fill
it out.
in. Yep.
Great.
I prepared a letter so you could just fill in the date and provide it to Mr. Cassidy.
Yeah, we'll fill that out and hand deliver it right now, or as soon as we wrap up.
And it will be at 1, and that's okay with you, Nicole? Okay,
Yep.
great.
Well, thank you, Mr. Cassidy, for your approach. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your service.
Sign this.
That goes with it. And then if we, oh, the room is available next week as well.
Great. So that hearing will be here and online.
So as soon as the meeting is adjourned, I'd be happy to make a copy for Mr. Cassidy of what we have here.
Great, thank you. Or we can here, I'll
I
take it.
hate to have him have to
Yeah,
sit
can we,
here through the rest
can
of
somebody
it.
make a copy of this for Mr. Cassidy and his council?
Is that okay? She will. Yeah, I'm sure. Thank you.
All right, so next item of new business is approval of the early voting schedule. And of course, we said that as soon as Kylie walked out the door.
But I believe she provided us.
Do you have that in our packet?
Would you like for me to read it into the minutes?
Please do.
Okay, the 2024 general early voting hours, of course, it will take place at Election Operations, which is the old Napa Building, 302 South Walnut, from October 8th to 11th, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., October 14th to 18th, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., October 21st through the 25th, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., October 26th will be our first Saturday of early voting, that mandated Saturday before, and that is from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. October 28th to November 1st, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. November 2nd, which is that second Saturday just before Election Day, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then Monday, November 4th, 8 a.m. to noon. And then if you have not taken advantage of early voting hours by noon on November 4th, you will vote at your regular polling site on Election Day. Thank you.
Is there a resolution tied to this that we need to approve? But
That's not,
not the hours.
it doesn't look like there's anything.
I did not prepare a resolution for the early voting hours. I can do so if you'd like.
Yeah, I think if the agenda item is to approve it, we could just, yes, we need a resolution to approve that. If you can work on that, Molly, we can move on to approval of the poll sites. We do have a resolution today approving poll locations and to consolidate polling places of adjoining precincts. Would you like to speak to that, Kylie? Or?
The polling sites and precincts that are connected to each polling site will be the same as the primary.
Okay. Any questions or comments from board members?
I do not have any.
How about the public comment? Any questions, comments regarding the poll locations and consolidation plan? I don't see any, so I will entertain a motion to approve this resolution. Excuse me.
I will make a resolution, I will make a motion to accept the resolution for the polling sites for the Monroe 2024 general election in Monroe County, Indiana.
All right, it's been moved. Do you want to second it, Judith?
I second.
Okay, so all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, that resolution passes. All right, the next item on the agenda is a emergency plan for, or no, I'm sorry, appointment of leads and recruiters. I think that,
You guys each will have a copy of the letter from both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party of who those individuals are.
and it's pretty much the same as the primary?
Correct.
Correct? All right.
And
Anything
I
else?
did
Go ahead, Molly.
prepare a resolution for the leads and the recruiters. It's two separate resolutions because the recruiters are technically not poll workers, and we adopted a resolution. By statute, they're not poll workers, for correction, but we adopted a resolution in April that set forth the procedure of how we were going to handle those. So I prepared two separate resolutions. And then if any of the identified individuals in the list that Kylie received are student poll workers, there needs to be a separate resolution for that.
Okay, so the two, you used different language. So the two resolutions we have here, one pertains to election worker recruitment and one for election officers. So
Correct. So that would be the leads, and
Okay.
then the recruitment one is for the recruiters.
Okay,
May I ask a question?
please.
Is it not the case that if we sign a resolution, it's good through the end of the calendar year, December 31st? So if it's the same people who we agreed upon for the primary, and they are now the same people for the general, that the resolution that we previously signed would continue to be applicable?
I went back and I reviewed the resolutions that were passed earlier this year, and it specifically said the primary of 2024, which is why I prepared a new resolution for the general.
Right. That's why I suspected. Okay, so is there any public comment or questions regarding the resolution appointments of leads and recruiters?
I just want to make one comment really quickly.
Yep.
I plan to have all of the early voting workers that are not the leads back to you guys by September 5th for approval, and then should have all election day workers by October 3rd.
Great. All right. Is there a motion to approve the resolution regarding the do we have the, yeah, we need to fill in the date for the received date for the Exhibit A.
Did you, Kylie, when did you receive Mr. Ellis's list?
Both of those were from this morning.
Okay, so, well, one says July 30th, but you received them the 1st of
So
August.
he had sent the, David sent the original yesterday, and then he had a revise to add the recruiter this morning. And I received that one this morning. I received both this morning.
Okay, great.
Okay, great.
So these would be attached as Exhibit A.
Great, thank you, Judith. All right, do we have a motion?
For a motion?
Yes.
I will make a motion to accept the election worker recruitment names that have been submitted for general election 2024.
My second.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, that resolution passes. So let's see, the next item on the agenda is the emergency plan for polling locations discussion. Are we going to do that today?
Sir, you are the chair. We will do as you direct.
I know Molly had said during our meeting on Tuesday that she was going to kind of lead on this one a little bit because she has a couple of ideas on this that I agree with.
Let me also say I have reached out directly to the Secretary of State's office following the primary. Fellow board members, you may recall that we were concerned, first of all, because of the storm that was all day, but also when a school had, I believe it was an alarm and a fire alarm, and they had to empty. We were concerned that we might have to petition to extend the polling hours. We did not have to do that. And so I have reached out directly to the Secretary of State to ask for some guidance on the election board petitioning to the court to extend polling hours so that we have a template going forward, should that happen, that we are ready to go and make the petition for the on-duty judge to help us extend polling hours. And as I understood it, the secretary was in favor, and working to prepare something. I have a fall Southern District Conference. We're in August next month. And so I'm hopeful that to have some more information, but it might be after our September meeting.
Yep. I agree, Molly and Nicole, on the concept of having some of the documents that might be required ready to go in a template form that we can just activate. And then I assume if we approve those documents, that we can just bake that into the fall training and updates to the precinct workers so that they know what to do in the event of that kind of disruption. So I think that's a sound way to go. Judith, do you have any?
I agree. I did want to, I'll let you make, okay. There was one thing that I wanted to be sure that the clerk's aware of, that the legislature changed the definition of shoot. The shoot where you cannot, do you have?
C-H-U-T-E for
Yes,
those
that.
watching at home.
Very important distinction.
And are you aware of this?
If you'll refresh my memory.
Okay. What it does, instead of being 50 feet straight out from the door, it's a radius now. So that should help prevent some, enclose, because some people might come in from the sides, or now they cannot do that. So I just wanted to be sure, would you like this, or do you already have it?
The very nice thing in Monroe County is I believe that we were ahead of the trend, Monroe
We were
County.
already doing a radius.
Awesome.
That's why there's an arc outside of Napa. We do a 50-yard radius.
All right.
And then at polling sites, when our training, we tell them to do a radius. We don't tell them to go straight out.
Right, well, so that is answered. You are already on it. Thank you.
What's the phrase? Ask and answer.
Anything else, Nicole, on that item?
I do not have anything else.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the policy for county voter registration computerized data requests. Kylie, I think that's you.
And this will be both me and Molly. We've kind of discussed this a little bit. So in our office, we've had some people have came in and requested data be put onto a flash drive. And after the cybersecurity issue that we had here a few weeks ago, we have decided that we do not want to allow them to bring their own flash drives in, and we would rather it be we provide the flash drives and charge them for the flash drives. So this needs to be fixed in the policy that already stands, and also to revise who is able to come in and receive this information as well needs to be updated.
In this public information, so anybody could actually ask for it, correct?
So right now I gave you guys a copy of the VRG 24. Right now at the bottom of it, it does state, sorry, the top of it, it shows that it's from either a political party and then members of a board and then also being a candidate or a elected official. There's an option for other, and that's what we're wanting to clarify on who other can be.
Molly?
Do we have a copy of the current policy?
We do not in our office.
No.
Okay. I'll have to do a little research on this because I don't know how there's a statute that pertains to the release of voter registration records, and I don't know how that statute interplays with the open door law. The open door law would not let us limit who could inspect, and so I don't know if there is something in the election code that allows for such.
I think more so for me and for my office, we're just trying to clarify and get everything in order from what we don't have that we need, especially with the whole flash drive situation, us not feeling comfortable using somebody's flash drive to put the information onto. We would prefer we supply the flash drive, and in the old policy, it did say that they could bring one in. So just trying to get everything lined out since I'm new in the office. This is my first full election cycle, and just wanting to have like a standard starting fresh, basically.
Okay.
May I make a suggestion?
Sure, go ahead, Molly.
It might be helpful if Kylie and I sit down and like do a draft policy so that she can do it, provide information from a practical stance of how the office needs to run, and I can look at it from a legal stance, and then we can bring back something to the board.
Molly,
that
Molly,
be
would you be
helpful.
opposed
to working with IED as well?
Whoever.
Okay.
No, you were going the same direction I was going. I just wonder, maybe it's a different conversation somewhere else, but it just strikes me that, with technology, that ought to be a way to, provide this information that's easy, accessible, and secure. But totally agree with no flash drives.
Yeah, so
That's
the main part of this is they're basically signing off saying that they're not going to sell the information to anybody, and they're only going to use it for political reasons, not anything else. And that's why this is very important to us. We also wanted to update the amount of times they need to turn this in. I've heard 3 different ways. I've heard the way that I prefer, which is each time somebody's requesting information, they fill one out. I've heard they do it once for each election, the primary and the general, or they just do it once a year, and then it's good for the year.
I should have posed this question at the beginning of this agenda item, is to just kind of define for people what we're actually talking about. Because, public information is pretty easily available in terms of voting records, and this is the entire frickin' voter file, right?
Yes, so it can go all the way back to the very first time this person has applied, has registered to be a voter. You get all of their voting history, what they've voted as, what party they've pulled for their ballots. You can see how many times they've voted. This goes down to their address, their phone number, email address. All of this information is what is getting released. And so that's why, for me, it's very important that I'm getting this each time that somebody's requesting the information, so that we have a record to go with that information that we're giving out, so that if something were to happen and people's information be sold, then we have the form saying, well, they were given this on this day, instead of it just being, oh, well, they were given permission at the beginning of the year, and then we don't know where this information was sold at.
How far back does the history go in this data?
I'm not 100% sure on that. I do know that when I looked up my grandmother just to see how far back it went back to the day that she registered to vote, and that was when she was 18 years old. She was born in 35.
So it's fair to say this is a very large file.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, I think the approach that you and Molly discussed makes sense to me, so we'll look forward to seeing that. Okay, I believe last item on the agenda is just any additional public comment. I think we typically, of course. Okay. Just state your name for the record, please.
Cheryl Langdon. 3 months ago, a smear campaign was launched against me by a Monroe County employee right here. That's a perfect example of what I and others have endured underneath Brown's leadership. I'm not surprised to see Kat Reynolds bullying me. That is a demonstration of the type of bullying and intimidation I dealt with last year. How much money did taxpayers pay Kat and her buddies to sit around the office preparing the speech against me? And why did she feel that she had any authority to speak about anything concerning Election Central or me? Since Kat claimed to be the one who got Kylie her job, the same person with no experience or election credentials, is that why she launched a personal attack against me? Because Moreland is her buddy, and she's helping Moreland to deflect the fact that Moreland left the ballot room unsecured last fall during early election. Who put Kat up to attack me? And when she said, put a broom in a closet, it's a broom closet, she's attempting to declare that she's an authority concerning what was or was not in that unsecured ballot room at the time I took that photograph. She has no authority to make that claim. That room held ballots with at least 4 computers, printer, letter machine, desks, so forth. So that's not a broom closet. That's called deflection. Kat demonstrated exactly what I've said all along. She has no authority at Election Central. And again, this is an example of what I endured underneath Brown's leadership while I was there, and it working as Kylie's co-worker. This is exactly what happens to targeted county workers and private citizens. They have paid county bullies with their comfortable county government jobs, and they circle the wagon. And in their government managerial class jobs, they conspire against taxpayers, voters, and low-wage county workers. Y'all got to witness their attempts to self-preservation, dogpiling on the person that speaks out. Kat was one of the county workers that I watched goofing off and gossiping on the taxpayers' dime. Of course, she's going to be up here defending that cushy county job. Again, why did Kat take it upon herself to come up here and deflect investigation concerning the unsecured door, personally attacking me last May? She has no authority at Election Central. If anything, I would notate that she demonstrated authority over the mailing machines last year. That's all I saw. And that last year, there was overspending on those machines. So then she brought up my Democrat pedigree, which is my voter registration information, and then weaponized that against me, which she doesn't, no one has access to that but county and state employees on SVRS. So she brought that up here and tried to use that against me. And that right there should be firing or resignation or getting wrote up for that kind of bad behavior. What Kat failed to mention is that she was not there at the job interview when I was with Brown. I said that I would not accept that job and represent Democrats unless it was legitimate, and I'm the one that brought it up. I made a point
We're
to
getting close to the time limit here, if you want to wrap it up.
Right. So I've got a copy too. Sorry, now I've missed my place.
Sorry.
Anyhow, she wasn't there at that interview, so I don't understand why she has any right to talk about like me as a Democrat representative. Anyhow, I said, thanks to what she did last month, I was actually too afraid to go vote in May. And that's voter suppression. Because she called herself Misery's company, and which saying that I'm misery. And at that point, that where I would be, she would be. And so I felt intimidated. I'm almost done. I'm trying to go through where I lost my page here. And that is my right as a voter. I'm allowed to be at a voting site and stand with someone that I approve, that I support in a subject.
Hey,
Last but not least, sorry, I'm just trying to figure out where I lost my place.
We are at time. So if you want to provide your written statement, we'll put that into the record, but it's time to.
I just want to notate that she was here today again.
I appreciate that.
And that's intimidation too. I mean, I'm trying to do the right thing, and I just want an investigation about what happened last year and feeling like that our election is going to go, not get off track, and there's going to be proper security.
I appreciate your sentiment. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All right, we are adjourned until our special meeting on the 8th. Thank you.